I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Good evening, everybody. Welcome to tonight's board meeting. What we're going to do tonight first, as we always do, is have Student of the Month.
I'm going to start with Hornet Park, and as I said, Mrs. Probus is on maternity leave, and we hope she'll be back by spring break, and but we're chugging along as best we can. Basically what we're doing is we're emptying cars in this cold, and we're getting kids off the bus. If we can do that without too many people freezing, we're going to be in good shape. So that's kind of what the things are going. I don't have a whole lot of activities to tell you about because we're kind of subbing until she gets back. Okay, we're going to have our two students now of the month come up for Hornet Park. First of all, would Chloe come up? And if you want to stand right over here. Good. And you turn around and face the camera there. And then if we would have, let me get my pages done here. Landon, is he here? If you want to stand over here. And okay, that'd be good. That would we'll get a good picture that way. Okay, Chloe, you're in Mrs. Gardner's room. Is that correct? And this is what Mrs. Gardner had to say about you. Chloe is an easy choice for Student of the Month for December. Her eagerness to learn is evident through her daily work habits. She is consistently engaged in her learning with daily participation in group lessons as well, with her ability to work on her own. Chloe brings happiness to her classroom each day and demonstrates to others the quality of a good friend. Keep up the good work, and that's from Mrs. Gardner. Now we also had our homeschool advisor, Mrs. Borgert, who said, Chloe is a bright star at Hornet Park. Her smile is contagious and her positive attitude is overwhelming. Hornet Park is lucky to have a great student like Chloe. And that's where Mrs. Borgert, our homeschool advisor. And then the people in the office say, Chloe is such a sweet young lady. She is always respectful and charming. She is a perfect example of a bucket filler, and she knows what a bucket filler is. That's Mrs. Foster from the central office. So I'd like to introduce to you our December Student of the Month, Chloe Payton. This is Landon Brown. He's our January Student of the Month, and this is what Mrs. Osborne, who's your teacher, I hope. Okay. Landon has been such a pleasure to have as kindergarten and first grader. They kind of loop, so they have the same kids for two times. So that's what. So she had you for 2 whole years, huh? He has worked so hard at becoming a leader in the class. I can count on Landon to set a good example and to be an outstanding peer role model for the rest of the kids in the class. Landon excels in spelling and math. I know the foundation Landon has set at Hornet Park will follow him throughout his academic career, and he will continue to be a shining star. That's what Mrs. Osborne said that about you. Then, your homeschool advisor, Mrs. Borgert, said Landon is a shining example of a happy hornet. His zest for life is an inspiration to all. Landon is truly a wonderful child and a blessing to the Hornet Park staff. And then the office said, we can always depend on Landon to help when needed. He is very responsible and always cheerful. We enjoy seeing him when he runs errands. This is Landon Brown. Landon? Here's your certificate.
Good evening, everyone. I just want to highlight a couple things quickly that are coming up at Central. Our first ever snowball dance, sponsored by Mrs. Sutton and Mrs. Weisjohn to benefit the Art Club and the Technology Club, will be on Thursday, February the 20th. The tickets are $5 per family, and that includes refreshments. For $3 more, you can get your picture taken. And if you know Mrs. Sutton, it will be a fantastic backdrop, and it'll be just a really good time. So again, that's on Thursday, February the 20th. The second thing that I kind of want to highlight is I have required the staff members at Central to make weekly, we call them fabulous phone calls home. And so every week the staff members, including myself, pick a different student to call home and make a parent contact. And I just wanted to highlight, to date, we've made 370 positive phone calls since we started in September. And that includes, like I said, myself, the related arts teachers, all the classroom teachers, the Title I teachers, the special education teachers, Mr. Wagner, Mrs. Wolf, myself. And we just call 2 minutes just to give some good news about what's going on at school and what we've noticed at Central. So just 2 quick things about going on at school. I, though, would like to present my first student of the month. Randy Mullins is our December student of the month. Randy, go ahead and come on up. Randy is a 3rd grader in Mrs. Duncan's class. She says Randy is always happy and willing to help. He is very helpful with the students in his class, especially those with special needs. Randy strives to do well and reaches the goals that he sets for himself and the goals that are set for him by his teachers. Mrs. Lawson states that Randy comes to Title I each day with a positive attitude. He is always respectful, ready to learn, and participates well. In applied technology, Mrs. Wiesjohn reports she has seen Randy grow and mature so much in the few years he has been one of her students. He tries his best and applies himself when it comes to learning about technology. Finally, Mrs. Sutton tells us it has been her extreme pleasure to have Randy in the art room at Hornet Park and at Central. He is a very responsible, respectful student who always gives 100%. Randy is at times talkative and energetic, but she would not have him any other way. He is a friend to all and a blessing to have as a student. He always has a smile on his face and tries new things with an adventurous heart. He rarely complains if things aren't successful. He's a wonderful example to his peers and exactly what we want in a Hornet. I echo these sentiments and believe that Randy is a positive young man with a successful future ahead. I'm proud to present Randy Mullins, our December Student of the Month. Henry Laker is our January Student of the Month. So come on up, Henry. Good stuff. Henry is a 2nd grader in Mr. Callan's classroom. Mr. Callan describes Henry as a very energetic boy. He begins each day with a smile, and this smile follows him throughout the day. He never ceases to participate in class. He is always the first to raise his hand and answer questions. He helps his classmates when they are in need, and he never complains when he is asked to do something. He's worked very hard this year, and anyone who has had the opportunity to work with Henry is very proud of his accomplishments. Miss Blake says that Henry is a hard worker and has shown great improvement through the year. He's gotten better and is taking his time and putting forth the right amount of effort to complete his work. In applied technology class, Mrs. Wiesjohn states that Henry is a wonderful student. He is a great role model for his peers. Mrs. Wiesjohn can always count on Henry to be a good listener and complete his work correctly. She enjoys having him in class every week. Finally, in the art room, Mrs. Sutton reports that Henry is one of those students that teachers remember. He is eager to try new things, always has a smile, is kind to peers, and is just an all-around amazing student. He has a great imagination and never gives up when challenges come his way. We are lucky to have Henry as one of our Hornets. I agree with all of these comments, and I'm very proud to present Henry Laker, our January Student of the Month.
Good evening. Few things. Progress reports have been pushed back a week because of all the snow delays and all of that. So they should be coming home this week. So I encourage parents to check backpacks for progress reports for any student that has a D or an F in a subject. As always, we encourage parents to check Parent Connect. And if you need a Parent Connect code, you can contact Mrs. Hamilton in the South Grove office and we will get you hooked up with that. You will get more timely information if you can go online and check Parent Connect. Also, because of the snow, the I-STEP window has been extended, and that really benefits South Grove because we have a later spring break. We can push I-STEP back a little bit. We've missed about 7 days, and we're able to push I-STEP back about 7 days as well. So South Grove is going to start testing on Wednesday, March 12th. We will test the 13th, the 14th, and then again on Monday, March 17th. That gives us a week of, or about 4 days of able to get makeups for any child that's absent. So we're very excited to have that extra time for I-STEP so that the teachers and the children can prepare for that. So parents, please make sure your children are at school on March 12th, 13th, 14th, and 17th so that they can get I-STEP taken, this first round of I-STEP taken. As always, go to bed early, good breakfast, and we do serve free breakfast for everybody. So if they skip breakfast, they can get it at South Grove. I wanted to congratulate the 6th grade boys basketball team and their coach, Larry Williams. They capped off a wonderful season by winning the Brown County tournament. So I wanted to congratulate the boys for a great season. And I kind of look forward to watching them as they grow and go through Beech Grove Middle School and the high school. They're a good group of boys, a smart group of boys, a well-behaved group of boys, and they're very athletic as well, obviously. So, and come on up, Joshua. Joshua Copenhaver is my student of the month. He's also the leading scorer on the basketball team. Yes. Joshua is the son of Paul and Anna Copenhaver. And Mr. Boer, his 4th grade teacher, said that Joshua was a great student in 4th grade. He was always courteous, kind to others, and helpful. Joshua had a desire to always do his best at whatever he attempted. He is an all-around great young man. Mrs. Johnson shared that she knows that Joshua is an extremely hard worker and enjoys volunteering because he and his wonderful mother have helped with academic night for the last 3 years. Mrs. Hodge, his 5th grade teacher, said that Josh was an excellent student and a wonderful young man. I could always count on Josh to be ready, responsible, and respectful. He eagerly volunteered in class and always put forth his best effort on all assignments and tasks. Other students and I could count on Josh to be a helpful resource. And Mrs. Omesh shared that Josh Copenhaver is in my homeroom class this year. He is such an asset to the classroom. He shows up every day with a smile on his face and ready to learn. I often see him helping peers, asking questions for clarification, and completing assignments. I have told his mother before that he is a model student and he always lives up to that expectation. He is well liked by his peers and social in the room. There's no question that he tries his best each and every day. Josh values his education and knows his priorities, which is kind of uncommon in 6th graders. He has exactly the right balance of social and academic behavior. He is such a treasure to have in class. This year simply would not be as wonderful as it is without him. He challenges me to be a better educator, and I am grateful for that. And that's commendable from your teacher. He is also another reason why I love my job every day, and I'm so thankful to have such a wonderful class with sweet students. There is no question that he is deserving of the Student of the Month, Joshua Copenhaver.
Good evening. Like South Grove, we have moved back our reporting periods a week, as well as I-STEP, so we'll be starting on the same dates as South Grove is. We have a lot to celebrate tonight. We held our annual spelling bee last week. We had to get it in by the end of January, and that was a challenge this year. Our first place finisher was 8th grader Morgan Schneider, who will move on to regionals. Our second place finisher was Elizabeth Pick, and our third place finisher was 7th grader Ashlyn Morlock. We'd like to thank Teachers Credit Union for sponsoring that event for us. 2 weeks ago, we had 23 students participate in the solo ensemble contest out in New Pal. 15 of those 23 students rated at the gold level, while the remaining 8 earned a silver. And a special congratulations to two performers, Lillian Ferguson, who scored a perfect on her solo, and Austin Money for scoring in the gold category in Group 1, which advances him to the state level solo ensemble competition. We'd like to congratulate Sam Ullery for setting a new school record in the 200-yard freestyle with a time of 2 minutes and 12 seconds. Thursday, the 23rd, or the 13th, we are holding our second sports jam, And to get into the sports jam, the price of admission is 2 canned good items, or $2. And students will attend a dance and have refreshments and gain free admission to both our wrestling meet that evening and our girls' basketball game. The final thing that you'll hear about in a few minutes is from our robotics team, which is sitting over there. But right now, we're going to do our first student of the month. So Austin McGuire, if you would come on up. Team Einstein selects Austin McGuire as its student of the month. Since the start of school, Austin has had a positive influence on so many BGMS teachers and students with his positive efforts, kindness, and dedication to his academic work. Every day, Austin enters the classroom with a positive attitude and willingness to work that only elevates the others around him. Austin pays careful attention in class and seeks help not only when he needs it, but will be the first to help another student who is struggling. He is an awesome role model to all of his peers, and the Einstein teachers are very fortunate to have him on their team. It is with great pleasure that Team Einstein and Beech Grove Middle School selects Austin McGuire as its student of the month. Stand over there, we'll keep the things right. Our second student of the month is Madeline Adamson. The REACH team proudly presents Madeline Adamson for Student of the Month. Madeline embodies all of the characteristics of an exceptional student athlete and leader. She is dedicated to her studies, extracurricular activities, and leads by example. First and foremost, Madeline is a fantastic student. She is steadfast in completing assignments, often before the deadline. The work Madeline submits is thoroughly completed, always attentive to detail. In addition to her dedication to academics, Madeline strives for perfection on the volleyball court and the track. Coaches attest that she gives her best effort both in practices and competitions. Always humble, Madeline supports her teammates and celebrates their success with perhaps more enthusiasm than her own triumphs. Leading by example, Madeline is a model citizen. She is friendly and kind to everyone with whom she has contact, supports others in good and bad, and finds a smile every day regardless of her circumstances. It is a pleasure and honor to have Madeline on the REACH team this year. Congratulations.
I'd like to start by saying congratulations again to our robotics team and Mr. Banks. They're going to be doing a presentation here in a little bit. We have a lot of exciting things going on, and that's one of the most important things that have been happening at the high school. Last Saturday, our Beech Grove High School choral department also participated in the ISMA contest at New Powell High School. This year, we had 10 of our Group 1 soloists qualify for the state competition, and the Sensations are going to take a gospel selection called Ride the Chariot to the state competition as well, and that's going to be on February 22nd at Perry Meridian High School. Reese Johnson in the world of athletics was named the Edward Jones Investment Scholar Athlete of the Month, and congratulations is in order to our senior wrestler DeMonte Dawkins. DeMonte finished third at Perry Meridian in the regional, which is the toughest regional in the state, we think. And he did that in 106-pound class. So for his efforts, DeMonte is going to wrestle in Newcastle in the semi-state, and that's coming up this Saturday, the 15th, and hopefully he will be moving on to the state finals as well. Girls swimming, they had the sectional this past weekend, and we had some personal bests. But also Reese Johnson was 10th in the 200 freestyle. She was also 7th in the breaststroke, 100 breast. In the 200 medley relay, has placed 6th. In the 200 free, placed 7th. And both of those relays were Abby Estrella, Erica Leak, Dakota Hopkins, and Reese Johnson. So they did their personal best and did some great swimming for us in the sectional. And Jenna Ray was 6th place in diving, and that's been a great showing for her as well. Last night, our boys' basketball teams, both JV and varsity, played Morristown, and both came away victorious. as well as our swimming, boys swimming team. They competed against Speedway and they won there as well. Thursday, the 13th, our boys are going to have another basketball game. That's on the road at Redder, and it's home. We are hosting the boys swim meet, and that's senior night. So if anybody can come out to the boys swimming meet, it'll be against Buff. Starts at 5:30. Friday night, we travel. Our girls basketball team's traveling to Danville to play Tri-West, and that's in the girls sectional. And that game is a 6 o'clock start. That we want to be ready to play and get ready to go, so please come to the sectional as well. Saturday was, as I said, the semi-state at Newcastle, and we plan to be back at Danville for the state or for the girls sectional finals Saturday night as well. So a lot of activities going on at the high school related to athletics. Next week, or on the 19th, we're going to have our interviews for our cheerleading sponsor, and hopefully we'll have that picked about a week after that. On Thursday, we're having an advanced placement dual credit awareness dinner, and the board and administration, this is what the sheet is sitting on your desk. You're all welcome to attend. If you'd like to, just RSVP, call the guidance office, and we'll get you down for the dinner as well. Also on Saturday night, the 22nd, actually it's an afternoon, it's a 2:30 game. That's senior night for boys basketball. It's also our homecoming, winter homecoming dance. And that'll be at 8:30, and then we'll have a court just like we do in the fall as well. And then winding up the winter, and March 19th is going to be the athletic awards program, so please put that down on your calendar as well. One of the individuals that we're going to talk about tonight is not here, and he was here last time, Austin Reeder, and I'll have him come back next time. But he was a C9 student of the month in building trades. But tonight, Bree's here, so come on up, Bree. Bree Spurgeon. She's the daughter of Roger and Ronette Spurgeon. Things about Bree, and this kind of amazes me. She's a sophomore, and she's got a 4.28 GPA, and we're on a 4-point scale. So that kind of tells you the dual credit and AP and the things that she's been accomplishing as a sophomore. Right now she's ranked 3rd, but she'll probably be moving up as we go through the junior and senior year as well. On top of all that academics, she's involved in basketball, volleyball, Spanish club, FFA, the brain game, and band. That's a lot of time that she spends doing a little bit of everything. Before I was talking to her mother, and it's amazing. I think we're blessed when we have children that you don't even have to ask if they did their homework the night before, or if they're ready, because she's always got it done. Community activities and things that she's been involved in is the color run in Indy, and she also volunteers Southside Animal Shelter. She plans to attend a high-end college. We don't know which one yet because she's got a few years to decide, but she wants to be a psychiatrist, so she's got lofty goals. Mrs. Baker, Mrs. Parker, one of her teachers, said, "Bree's an excellent student. She's one that I can always look for answers when no one else in the class is willing to volunteer. Bree's hard work is mirrored with her homework and various assignments that she submits. She does not turn in any assignment that's below an A material. Her work ethic and studious behavior tends to motivate classmates around her and to be as driven and dedicated to learning as is she." And again, that's our student of the month, Bree Spurgeon.
Neither one of my students were able to join us tonight. I do want to say Xavier Woodcock and Kelsey Ham, hopefully they'll be able to join us next month. Both of them are part of our School to Career program, so they also work in the evenings. I did want to say that February the 12th, from 4 to 7, we will welcome parents for student-led progress conferences. There's no appointment necessary. Parents will have the opportunity at that time to meet with their student's mentor to discuss progress. If parents aren't able to come at that point, they can just call the HEA and we'll be happy to schedule another conference. Last thing, very quickly, I do want to remind students and parents that our evening session is in full swing. And we want to offer our high school students as well the opportunity to do credit recovery on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 3 to 6 as well. So as we finish the school year, that's a great opportunity for them as well. So hopefully next month, Kelsey and Xavier will join us as well.
Kevin, is this our second or first year for middle school? First year for middle school and second year for high school. So Dennis, we appreciate you taking this on, and I'll let you just strut your stuff.
All right.
What's going on?
My name's Dennis Lund. I'm the middle school robotics coach and integrated science and technology teacher. This year we have participated in 2 competitions, the Indianapolis VEX Championship at Bankers Life Fieldhouse, which was our first competition. We placed 13th out of the 33 teams that participated. We did another competition in January at Warren Township, which we placed first in the qualifying round, and we got second overall. That qualified us for the state championships, which are coming up on, what month are we in? February 22nd. So not this Saturday, next Saturday we'll be competing in the state tournament, and we're just going to show you kind of how the competition runs. You get 1 minute, you have 2 drivers, at 30 seconds they switch, and the goal is to get the icosahedrons either in the 3-inch bin or the 8-inch bin, and then it's an extra bonus points if you hang the robot at the end. So we'll just go through 1 round. I have 2 of my drivers, Elijah Sherwalter and Ted Hardesty are going to drive for us. Other members are Michael Hotzeller, John Davis, Ryan Barr, Vincent Bowles, Jacob Hale, Weston Tenner, Caleb McIntosh, and Patrick Lamb, who was unable to make it tonight. And Vincent's going to time, and he'll tell us, you have to switch at 30 seconds. So in a minute, you get as many of these in the bins and hang the robot as you can. So Vincent, whenever you're ready, you can count them down.
10, 9, start at 3, 30.
Yeah, start at 3.
Go.
There's also a wall that usually keeps the icosahedrons on the field, which we don't have right now. How are we doing on time?
Switch.
How much time?
17 seconds.
15,
10,
10,
9,
go for the head.
6, 5, 4, 3, 2, 1, time.
Alright, no hang, but hang it anyway. Okay, and the way it works, the larger icosahedrons, you get 5 points if they're in the lower bin, you would get 8 points in the upper bin, you get 8 points for hanging the robot and 5 points for getting them in the donuts. The average score, like 25, would get you the final round, and there are 2 teams that go at the same time. You combine both scores, and whoever gets the highest combined score at the end wins the tournament. So that's our goal coming up next Saturday.
Hey, for the students, so what have you guys learned from this? What's the best part? Besides being with your wonderful teacher, what have you learned from it?
Go ahead, Caleb.
Why don't you stand up so we can see your smiling face?
Well, we learned a lot about engineering and building robots, and we had to make the controller work so it could program and run the robot certain ways. But we also had to build a counterweight on the back, and just to make it look awesome, we had spikes. But we had to add in little hooks on the claw, and we had to figure out how to close it and make one side longer than the other. And we also had to have a name tag, and we have, I think, 4 different motors on it. They help close the claw, raise the tower, and run the robot. And we have different gears that are placed by metal rods that hold together the tires. And that's really it.
Can I ask some question?
Yeah.
Do you guys come up with this design, or is it like there's a base that you start with and then you create
We
it?
copy it from a manual, but we add our own like
Individual.
It came in a set, but we can make it how we want it to look like. But it came in a back set.
We kind of made like a base design, and we added everything on that we needed for us to go farther. 'Cause
And does each person have an assignment of something that you have to do on this particular robot, or do you just come up with ideas and one person does it, one person thinks about the idea? I'm curious how you guys put this all together.
Caleb and me and Michael are really the ones who mess with it, but all in all, it's him who puts most of the ideas together, and Patrick also, who's not here today, but he comes up with all the great designs to modify the robot and make us better, because without this piece right here, we wouldn't be getting these big ones in here for the extra 5. So he's pretty much the engineer.
Do you have 2 of these so you can like race against one another?
We have one kit right now, and they've all worked together at the beginning when we first put it together. We had different students working on different parts of the robot, and after the first competition is when we started making changes, and Caleb and Patrick kind of took the reins on how to design it. And then we have every member of the team drives during the competition. So we have 5 sets of 2 that drive and actually compete. So everyone gets to compete.
How much does one of these kits cost you?
If you were to go and buy the kit for the robot, I think it's around $250. But since the mayor of Indianapolis wanted all the middle schools in Marion County to participate, we got the kit for free this year. So that was one of the determining factors in having a robotics team is, hey, you get this for free, why don't you try it out? So
Absolutely.
we're hoping maybe to purchase another kit next year and have 2 robots so we can have more people driving to practice for the competition.
Have you guys had fun?
Yeah.
Anybody else want to talk about what you learned? Anybody else? Go ahead.
Well, instead of the other kind of having an inspiring teacher like Mr. Dawkins, we've learned the pretty much basics of engineering with connecting the controller to the robot, because it was difficult for us at first, because we had it to where the hub would be down, and we made a new design which fixed that, and we learned to work together more instead of being on our own like we were most of the year, but then it's more of a companionship, more working together, and all being one person than separate.
Good teamwork.
That's great. That's awesome. Would you want to do it again next year?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, I'm sure we can come up with a few more dollars to buy a couple more robots.
All right,
So-
sounds great.
Do you have to start from scratch each year, or can you?
Yes.
I'm not sure yet. The VEX IQ is brand new. Mr. Banks would know. He's doing the VEX competition, which is a little different in the high school. I'm not sure if it'll be the same type, but I know the high school has changed each year, so it might be a new set. We can break this down. I think all the pieces are going to be the same, but the design might be different and the objective might be different next year. So we'll find out in 2014 season, I guess.
In the high school competition, we have a 12 by 12 field that's broken up into 3 segments. A third of the way to the cross is this 2-inch rail that goes all the way across the field, and then a third of the way from that is a set of tubes that are 12 inches above the ground. There are 8 of these large balls, 4 set across the tubes that are about this high, 4 set across on the back side of this barrier, and then there are 20 of these little balls called bucky balls that are located throughout. So the idea is you get 1 point for each of the balls that you get into this zone, and you get 2 points for the smaller balls that are on this side of the double tubes, 5 points for the bigger balls that are on the side of the tubes, and then there are 2 cylindrical cylinders that if you can put the smaller balls in, you get 5 points for. So the idea is, in the high school, it's a really strange competition in a way. You have to build your own robot. This year it's balls. Last year it was little bags that they moved around, and there was a trough that you put them in. But you start out the competition with 4 teams, 2 teams that are working together to try to outscore the other team. You go about 6 rounds, and then your final score number of wins places you then in the competition. The top 8 teams from that then get to pick 2 other teams throughout all of the other teams to form an alliance. So you have a 3-team alliance in the finals. And then there are 8 of those teams, and then they go double elimination in 3 rounds to knock out alliances till you get to the final one. So it's a really complicated process in how you end up being a winner. For the state tournament, there are 48 spots for the state tournament. There are 30 guaranteed spots that are based on the winning alliances, the 3 teams on the winning alliance on the out of the invitationals. And then there are a couple of other ways to automatically do it at those events. Then there are also at each of the invitationals and the state tournament what they call the programming and then the skills challenges. So in the skills challenges, you just go by yourself and you try to move as many balls as you can and score as many points as you can. And right now, we are 16th in the state in that competition. And then in the programming part, you design your robot where basically you have no control over it and it has to move as many balls within 60 seconds somewhere on the field to score points. And right now, we're 5th in the state in terms of the programming. I'm not the only one who does that or does the robots with the students. The other person who is spending most of the time with the kids on the programming side is Mr. Starks. I'm a biologist. I'm not a computer person, so this is something I just provide my little knowledge and let them do the work. Our 3 students, I'll let them introduce themselves and let them tell you what they do with the robot. Go ahead.
Hi, I'm Hunter. I build the robot. I like to think I'm good at it.
Hi, I'm Bryce. I drive the robot and try to score the points. I think I'm good at it, and I'm a lot better at it than either of them.
I'm Chris, and I program the robot. So, we could start off without the controller. It moves automatically with a battery.
If he didn't program it, we couldn't move it ever.
He's actually really good at it.
This is our 2nd year. Last year when we did it, we really did only 1 competition. We did the Marion County tournament. We finished 3rd from the bottom. It was our first time of ever doing it. Some of the schools have been doing it for several years. So we learned a lot from that experience, and one of the experiences we learned was that too many cooks spoil the broth. We had about 6 or 7 people involved with trying to do the robot, and everybody tried to do their own little thing, and we really didn't get a good concentrated effort. So this year we decided that we would shrink it down to teams of 3. We started out with 3 teams, and these 3 did it as part of a class, so they have time every day or every other day to do it. The other 2 groups decided they didn't want to do it in a class. They'd rather try to do it on their own after school, which I'm here almost all the time anyway, so all they had to do is come and do it. They could just never find the time to come in and do it on their own. Because it takes a lot of time they have to build this from scratch. This is their own idea. There's no plan for it. You design it and you build it. So last year we finished 3rd from the bottom. This year we finished 10th. We were able to move up and pick our own alliance. So we were the captain of our own alliance, and we picked 2 other teams, but we were the bottom seeded alliance. So when we went into the quarterfinals, we had to go against the number 1 alliance team, and these guys with the other 2 schools that they selected for their alliance actually beat the number 1 seeded alliance and knocked them out of the competition in the 1st round. So that was really good for our 2nd year. So we've got 1 more competition to try to qualify for the state, which is this Saturday at Stony Brook Middle School, which is part of the Warren Township Schools District. There's 46 teams in that, I think, 45 teams. So hopefully we'll make it to the finals again this competition, and hopefully make it to the round of being 1st in that, so that we automatically qualify. Otherwise, we'll have to hopefully get one of the open spots. So they're going to just show you kind of how the robot works and what they can do with it. Good, guys.
Here, I'm going to turn it on.
Our robot has this weird wait time between the connecting parts. You're good.
Basically, it just moves around, and our objective is to pick these up.
Our robot is a push bot. It pushes things around and it lifts the heavy things up. It's not really designed to lift up the small balls because it doesn't really need to. All it really needs to do is push them over the threshold and into the scoring zone. The big balls, however, they're different. They're taller than the bar that they need to get over to get into the scoring zone. So we actually need to lift them over a 12-inch bar. And that's a little easier said than done. Our robot is only for pushing and lifting. It's not so much. We just score the opponents while scoring for ourselves, which is our biggest advantage.
We don't really have a field to show you guys how everything works right now. We didn't get one with the robot, but pretty much we go over the bump like this, lift up the ball, drive forward. There's four sitting on the ledge. We use these, hit those ones over, and go across, and then we score points like that. And sometimes we'll push the small ones across as well and get them in the scoring zone. And when we think we have enough points, sometimes we'll try to unscore the opponents by taking their balls out of here and bring them and push them over back onto this side.
So there's a couple of, you can design your robot either for offense or defense. They've really designed theirs more for a kind of a mixture of the two. Where most teams do mostly offensive, they have speed so they can outwit their opponents. And so like when their opponents knock their big balls over to the higher scoring zone, they can come over and take their big balls and flip them back over to the non-scoring zone. And because they designed their robots to do something different, they can't get them back. So we end up helping them lose points, and then we move ours over to be able to gain points. So that's how they basically are able to outwit their competitors.
How long have you guys been in this year?
2 years. This
2
year
years.
and last year.
Change management. Better now.
And you're in it, and is there something that you want to take this with after you graduate from high school, engineering or something? Is that what you want to do?
I'm going for engineering.
Very good.
Thinking about going into like gaming stuff and like learning how to program all kinds of stuff. So I'm kind of going into that and helping him. He's trying to teach me how to program.
Great.
So I kind of like programming.
Are you wanting to do the same thing? What grades are you guys in?
We're all sophomores.
So Kevin, so we can have as many teams as we want?
We can have as many teams as we want. We have, I have an old system from years ago that we had purchased that many of the parts are still usable. It's the same company. We can build up to 3 robots with what we have. What I would like to see is hopefully at maybe sometime do is be able to actually get a field. I don't know where we put it because it's 12 by 12. It's pretty big. But the one thing that we've been able to do is early on in the year they've been able to build it, take it to Warren Central in the evening because they have a club that they do, and actually get use their field in the evening to practice on. We've done that 3 or 4 times before Christmas. They now, we've kind of gone past that for what they want to do for the most part. It would be nice to still have one to be able to do some practicing, but for now, this works pretty well. So.
How much does it cost for you to build one of these?
For this robot kit, it's about $1,700.
No kidding.
Yeah.
Well worth it though.
But-
Think about
Oh,
career
it's so
opportunities for our
worth it.
kids.
Cool.
You guys can do with anything.
And again, we got involved a year ago because the Indianapolis mayor is really into the STEM concept. So he last year started it with the high school and provides every high school with 1 robot and pays their entry fees for both the county competition and also for the VEX national. You got to pay a fee to be in that. So he pays for that as long as you build it and you come and compete. So we did that last year. This year he paid for our entry fees again. We couldn't get another robot, but Dr. Kaiser bought us another robot, and then we had materials to build a robot from previous years. So between that, we've got enough stuff we can build 3.
You guys kind of like her, Sheldon. I mean, I love the Big Bang Theory. You guys like that.
Thank you.
I mean, that's really cool. Thanks, guys. It's really neat. Mr. Collins, could we have a curriculum update, please?
Okay, it's kind of interesting when you're in this assessment area, when politicians try to tell the educators what to do. And the two things don't really go together. I find that they've got some good ideas, it's just the implementation. So they've come up with a new test now called AccuPlacer. Luckily, we have piloted that. We did the ACT, where in each grade had a different test which we piloted, so we're used to the AccuPlacer. The idea behind it that the legislators were trying to get at was so many of the students in Indiana have to take remediation courses when they go to college, which is kind of a waste of everybody's time and money. If we could some way get them to take these remediation classes at the high school level, they wouldn't need to do it at the college level and could go right into it. So that's the theory behind it. So they came up with, how do we assess those kids and then remediate them? And that kind of sounds good. The problem is they want to do it now, which it's a hurry up job. Luckily, we're in a position that since we knew a little bit about it, we are familiar with it, we've done the technology and all that. So what the law says, and this is public law 268, it was passed that only juniors had to do it. There was a big discussion of who had to do it. And the law says juniors have to. Other grades can. The problem with it is the ECA in English is at the end of 10th grade. So how do you know who needs remediation and who needs to take the test? Not everyone needs to take the test. The people who need to take the test are the ones who did not pass one of the ECAs or got a PSAT score of 46 or below. And those kids, as juniors, must be remediated. The state will pick up the money for the test, but they don't give you money for the remediation, which sounds very familiar as far as the education world. The test will be given between January 27th and March 28th. The results we get back, there will be a diagnostic individual student report. There will then be a diagnostic roster report, which would have all the students' names and how they did, and then a test summary report. So all these reports, and then you will be remediating those kids afterwards to try to get them so they, when they go to college, if they go to college, will not have to take all these remediation classes. On top of that, I just did a webinar today in grades 3 through 8. They want to see if the kids are kind of college ready or not. So they have another test that we'll be giving in May to see how along the line they're going to be ready for college.
In grade 3.
So anyone who took the part of the ISTEP test will have to do this. Now, I understand from our webinar that we won't get individual scores or anything like that, and different kids will take different parts of the test. And it's really for us to see, curriculum-wise, are they on the right track to being ready to go to college? Of course, it's another test that we have. We got iRead, we got all these other things. So it'll be interesting to see how all this plays out. And of course, it's why they want it done immediately rather than us gearing up for it. So I thought you'd at least be, if you hear about AccuPlacer for juniors, you'll know what they're talking about. And then as soon as I figure out more about this college readiness test, I'll let you know a little bit more about what's going on. As far as CAP's concerned, we have one more year of CAP after this, and then our grant runs out. We are invited to participate in the national convention or conference, and that's going to be in Los Angeles. It's paid through the grant. We get so many spots to go, so we'll have a good delegation representing our CAP in the national arena. The other thing I wanted to mention to you is that through TAP, we are evaluated, and each school is evaluated. NIET is the organization that is the data people for TAP. And they come to the schools, they look at our cluster groups, they look at all of our data, they look at everything we've stored up for them to review, and then they give us scores for that. what they want to do is they want to make sure we're doing it the way they designed it. Because they can't get good results if people do their own thing sporadically. So, and we have been very, very fortunate for them to look very favorable on all of our 5 different projects. And so they'll be coming in. So the master teachers are all scurrying around getting all these forms and all the different things they have to get for review by the NIE team. So I thought you'd like to know about that.
Thank you.
Real quick, Craig, would you mind, put you on the spot here, tell us about your visit from the National Tap folks and the nice video history they were making for you.
2 weeks ago, this Thursday, we had a gentleman come from the NIET, the National Institute for Excellence in Teaching, from California, and then he was joined by a gentleman who works here locally. They spent time at Central Office speaking to Dr. Kaiser. They spent time at CEL, the University of Indianapolis, speaking to Jen Oliver and Dr. Dave Dressler, Dr. Dressler. And then came to Central and spent a lot of time with us. They did some candid shots of the building in the classrooms. They spent time in cluster, taping Patty Turlip and Tierney Stevenson and the master and mentor teacher. They spent time with myself, Jennifer Doty, a career teacher, Mrs. Laker, who was actually here earlier, was one of the parents that was interviewed. We had another parent that was interviewed. So we're very excited because they've told us that it's for promotion, a promotional something for NIET. We're not exactly sure what that means, so we will be happy when it's all pulled together, and we'll be able to share that with the board. But it was very exciting, a real honor. We were the only school in Indiana where NIET sent a camera person, so that alone, out of the 40-some schools that are in Indiana, was a huge honor for us. So very excited.
The cameraman was very excited being from California. We had sub-zero temperature, and he had never seen, I don't think, it that cold before. So he was.
They traveled. They did exterior shots. They went down to the Monument Circle. They did. I mean, it's a full like Indianapolis Beech Grove spotlight. So they spent quite a bit of time out in the cold as well, which was a new experience for him. Coming here because it was one of the days when we had a 2-hour delay because of the cold, so it's very cold.
As you can see, if you read the newspapers, we're still getting great coverage, and I really want to thank Denise and Kelly from Southsider Voice and Nicole from Southside Times because they do a great job of covering Beech Grove items. I also wanted to make you aware, this is about Central again, but I was privileged to serve on an advisory council for the counseling program at Central, led by their counselor and homeschool advisor, Trudy Wolf. And they had parents and community members and others, and Trudy's going for, it's like a gold seal for her counseling program. And we met over the last 18 months, and it's really been, Beth was on it too, and it's really been a neat thing to see the process go through that. And to have that program recognized at Central. So we know it will happen, but she's getting everything together to get that done. We're also, plans are still underway. We're supposed to get a visit from Indiana's Lieutenant Governor and also the State Agricultural Director to come take a look here at Beech Grove High School and Middle School for our ag program. So we're excited about that. And I hope you all got your Hornet Blast, your first edition of Hornet Blast, and we hope that'll go out weekly or every other week, just to give some good tidbits on things happening around Beech Grove City Schools. And I'll just pull from as many schools as possible, and it'll change weekly, but just some good news stuff going out on that. And then for the Beech Grove Education Foundation, the Pacers fundraiser to benefit the foundation, which then ultimately benefits all of our schools and our teachers. We raised over $8,000. In fact, we think it may be closer to $9,000 in that fundraiser. So thank you for all of you that participated, and we're looking forward to that on the 27th for our school night. But and I'm going to be talking to the Education Foundation Board about maybe some things that we're going to do with a portion of that money to do something special for the schools. And then I know I already told you, but I just want to make sure our community is aware still, and you have it on your calendar that District Art Show is May 7th. So please attend. As you know, it's wonderful, and it really highlights all the great art
produced by our students and nurtured by all of our wonderful art teachers. So that's all I've got.
Okay, thank you. We need to have a motion to approve the minutes from the January board meeting.
I motion to approve the minutes for the January board meeting.
Thank you.
Second.
Nancy, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Claims, we need to approve the claims as presented.
Make a motion to approve the claims.
Tim?
I'll second.
Beth, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Would you explain how the P card works for
Absolutely.
purchases?
Yeah, so all of our school treasurers, basically all the program directors, most of the administrators, maintenance, bus, grounds, all have a P card. So there's about 15 of them out in the district. It's through Fifth Third. It acts just like a credit card. We get 1% cash back on total spend at the end of the year. When I started, we spent probably about $200,000 a year on the P card. Since then, we've focused on pushing all invoices that will take credit card to it because we get 1% back. We're now up to about over $1 million in the year, which means we get about $10,000 back. Small, but it helps. The way it works is we set every single person's limit individually. We can restrict them from travel and gas on it, so they cannot purchase anything that applies to that. They send a spreadsheet with all their invoices attached to each statement every month. From there, we check it, make sure everything's correctly coded. The budget they're spending from is they're building ECA account budgets, they're building corporation supply budgets, their books. So it's all money that they know, they would otherwise just buy an invoice from Scholastics or something and spend on with a check. Right now, we don't include a copy of the total corporation bill in the docket just because we just consider it like any of the other invoices and we just don't include it in there. Obviously, we can if need be. State Board of Accounts doesn't care. I can tell you when they audit, they do pull probably 4 or 5 of those because they hate credit cards because it's the easiest thing for somebody to grab, swipe, and spend their own cash on. We make sure we cash those. If anything like that ever happens, we automatically make that person repay us to the corporation. That way it's a clean sweep and there's nothing like that that goes on.
I have a couple questions.
Yep.
First off, do they carry that card with them all the time, or do they sign them out every day?
There's some of us who do. I know Tom and I do. Sometimes maintenance and grounds tend to have theirs on them a lot of times because there's a lot of projects that happen in the middle of the night and they need to go to Lowe's and just buy something. The school ECA treasurers do not. Robin doesn't. They keep them in their safe at the schools and they just pull them out when they need them.
Do they have, I know you said that they have restrictions on for gas and what was the other thing?
Gas and travel.
Do they have any restrictions as to the limit that they can spend at one time or any other thing like
You can
meals,
set
alcohol, groceries? I mean, will it stop it?
It will not stop for alcohol, groceries, anything like that because it would just show up as Walmart on the receipt and there's a lot of us who do our shopping for supplies at Walmart. We will see it on their actual itemized receipt. We'll also see if they've ever paid tax and trust me, I've sent back many receipts before to tell them go get the tax off of my credit card and they do. You can set a velocity limit for the amount that they spend at time. Most of our schools are set at $5,000 just because it became a hassle every time they order their paper supply for a month. It'd be $1,000 or something. It just, they would have to call, correct it, change it. They would have to wait a day to place their order, opposed to just allowing them to conduct their business as normal because we've never had an issue with them.
So instead of this being also what I would call a purchasing card, because like we have a limit of like $250 at the mall, they can only spend so much. You're also using this in place of a purchase order system, and that's why they have such a high amount on the card.
To be completely honest, as a school system, we don't really have a true purchase order system because we're so small that we have one we just run on a spreadsheet, but we're so small I can pretty well tell you what's going on at each school that we don't have. I mean, we're not the size of Warren and other schools where we would have no idea where this bill's coming from.
Do you ever get a flag if someone would go out and spend, let's say, $5,000 on that card at one shot? Do you ever get a call?
We would not. I can tell you that everybody is so nervous about using their card, though, that they'll call beforehand. I mean, if it's over $1,000, half the time the schools call and say, can we even buy this? Do we have a limit for this? Tim Ressler and I probably have the highest limits out of anybody. Tim's is actually $400,000 because of the Apple computers we buy. Apple takes credit card, and that's just money that flows straight back through our 1%. So we actually had to call the credit card companies or Fifth Third to increase our limit to do that transaction.
But you only do it for that particular transaction, not all the time?
No.
Okay.
And then piggyback, when I got to Beech Grove, it was really unusual. We did not have a purchase order system in place, which is really unusual because every place else I've been, Decatur, it was very complex with 4 copies of everything else. So when Tom was here and then Brian came on board, we put this in place. So this really kind of became our purchase system to track it. You know, because we'd have invoices show up and things like this. Well, where did that come from? And so the P card really has solidified the process, the accountability. I don't have a P card. If I do, I don't know because I think you have the P card if I would ever need it. But it's a good process, and there's a lot of good checks and balances within the district and also with the State Board of Accounts. But you'll see a large amount in the claims, and that's what it is. And if you ever want more details, you know, let us know if something comes up, and Brian can pull it and provide it. But it's a good system for us. And plus, we get 10 grand plus back here.
Do y'all have any other questions about the credit card? Well then, Dr. Keeley,
Oh.
could you please talk about the...
Well, I apologize I have my phone out, but we're getting updates from Dr. Keeley. His daughter is swimming in the, or diving in the regionals, so I think she's inching up from what I last saw here a few minutes ago. But so I just want to talk very quickly. This past February 3rd was our second ADM day. It's the first time we've had a legitimate ADM date in the middle of the year. And the idea behind this whole process is the money follows the students. It used to be back, you know, September, the second full Friday in September was always the ADM date, and whatever you had that enrollment, you had it for the next really 365 days. Because of the transient population of school districts, some districts lose, like IPS has been losing. We have lost in the past, and the districts like Hamilton Southeastern who grow a lot, the state really wanted to break our budgets really into 6 month segment. That's one of the reasons we started the Enrichment Academy under Kelly Skilleran's leadership, because we were losing 30 to 40 kids a year, you know, from the beginning to the end. So I'm happy to report that as of last Monday, we were up 13 kids. And I put into the packet itself just to show you that right now we get $6,056 per student. And since it's for 6 months, we'll get half that times 13. You know, it's a whopping $39,000. The exciting thing, it's not a negative $39,000. So we'll have an additional almost $40,000 in our budget going back from January 1st through June 30th. So then in September of next year, we're always going to be playing catch up on our budgets. So September of next year, they're going to look at that ADM, and they're going to go back and take it through July 1st and carry it through December 31st. So it's a different way of working. So in our monthly payments that we receive from the state, it'll go up, you know, 39,000 divided by the number of payments, which we've had one. So actually it'll be over the 11 months period. So that's our ADM work. I just want to let you know aware that it was a good day for the Hornets because we didn't lose students. And a big thanks to Melody and our recruiting efforts. Again, for those out there that are watching this on our cable network, we do take transfer kids, and we'll continue to take transfer kids. It has really enhanced our student population, and more importantly, it's provided a lot of resources to educate all students at Beech Grove. So that's real positive. And Melody did a great job in getting that word out there. And we do take them throughout the school year. They come see Eileen in our office, and we've verified and move on from there. But that's ADM.
Would you like to talk about food service staff transition?
Yes, I will. Again, Dr. Keeley was going to talk about this very briefly, but we went to Chartwell 2 years ago, and as I think we all know, the transition has been wonderful. The quality of food has really been enhanced. The variety of food has been enhanced. And also, remember, the cafeteria fund is a separate fund. You know, that money doesn't go to students or anything else. It's a fund that takes care of itself. And that fund is rock solid because of the efficiency of the entire Chartwell network. Our employees who were working for Beech Grove had the opportunity to come on board with Chartwell. And they actually have better benefits and a higher salary. What they don't have is PERF, Public Employees Retirement Fund, because obviously, you know, it's not a public agency. And so we have 2 to 3 people that are up there in their years on PERF. And we want to allow those people to continue being employed by Beech Grove City Schools. But the others that have, have been here very long, and we are going to move forward and request that they move over to Chartwell. So they're going to lose a little bit in retirement, but they're going to gain in salary. And so through Chartwell, they can actually, create the benefits, retirement benefits are there with Chartwell. It's just really a matter of reshuffling.
Are they not vested?
No. These are people that probably are never going to get vested. And so we think it's in their benefit, and it's definitely in ours, except for those 3, I think, Ryan, we're talking about.
2 or 3. Yeah.
2 or 3, we're gonna keep paying them because they're near their vesting period of time.
Did the people that are gonna go over to Chartwell, have they contributed anything into the firm at all? So do they get
yes.
that?
They do not, no. The way
They
PERS set
lose
up,
their own contribution as well?
they have not technically done any of their own contribution.
Right.
I mean,
Oh,
so the
okay.
way PERS set up is that it automatically pulls like 11% off of your pay. And I mean, it's completely involuntary. So when you lose it, if you're not within 10 years, most of the people are within 8 years. The few that we're leaving on are within 2 or 3. So,
I didn't know if they got like a small percentage of that they could take over to the next company.
no.
Now, if they come back into a perf position later, I think they have that opportunity down the road. So I just want we're going to be making that transition, and probably by next fall, I believe, we're going to move in that direction. So I just wanted to kind of give you an update from that standpoint. Personnel. Any questions on personnel report? I won't go through it in great detail. You have it in front of you.
No? Anybody have any questions before we go through this?
I make a motion to approve employment recommendations.
Who'd like to second, please?
I'll second.
Tammy, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And we're going to adopt a resolution to align the vesting language and the administrator contracts. Do you want to talk about that for a minute?
Just very briefly, our teacher contract in years past had, you could vest after like 10 years, 15 years, there was some different percentages. During our bargaining process, we worked with the association to change that to 5. And the rationale behind that is money that's going into annuities, it's either going to go to your annuities or your salaries. So the money going in there really is salary, And so we actually brought this to the association's viewpoint and asked them, we think we should change this for the benefit of our teachers, and they said yes. And then as Tom and I were looking at our administrative contracts, we don't have a vesting period in our administrative contracts. So it makes sense for us to line that up 5 years for our administrators of the district, which means that if you stay here for 5 years, you're going to take your retirement. If you don't, then it goes back into the pool. So we're just really asking to line the administrator vesting schedule up with the teachers. Doesn't cost us any more money or any issues. It just allows our teachers, again, so we consider that as salary, so they'll be able to vest after 5 years.
We'll make a motion to adopt that resolution, please. So Ben?
I'll second that.
Tim, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Wait a minute, all in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. Brian?
All right, first one is Brenda Anderson. She is currently our middle school day custodian. She was our high school day custodian before she moved over to middle school. Currently, our high school evening custodians are below par. Some of them are a little bit newer. They don't know how to do the job as well, and they need some training, some spot checks. We looked at the best way to pay Brenda because this is going to be an inconvenience to her schedule to move to nights for a few days. We looked at, legally we can't pay her double time just because of ghost employment. So it kind of came down to a stipend. We looked at how much her overtime would have been, and it would have been like $100, which we didn't think anybody would really want to work a night shift for that difference. So we felt $500 is fair. We're going to ask her to do at least 6 days or nights over a 3-week period, so she'll do about 2 days a week. To come in at night, train with our night guys, show them a couple different procedures, how to use different things, hopefully kind of get it back in tip-top shape, work with them a little bit.
We need a motion to approve Brenda's training stipend, please.
I'll motion to approve the training stipend.
Tammy, who would second, please?
I'll second it.
Nancy, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Opposed? Reflex?
Redflex is the system that Mike brought to us the last time about the student guardian side for the cameras on the stop arms. We looked into it. What they do is a kind of a trial period where they will come out, they'll monitor all of your buses with a little camera, see where your problem spots are on your routes, and then they'll pick 2 or 3 buses out of those, actually mount the whole system on it, and then track it for 60 to 90 days. Off of that, then there's this whole legal process side of having to go to the city council, getting the ordinance set up to where they can electronically mail the bill basically to each person, go through collections, but that ordinance has to be set up, and we'll be the first school in the state to even have this system, so we'll be kind of setting a precedence, and realistically, it's going to be a long timeline ahead of us to get everything in place. But first step is approving a trial period so they can come out, put the little cameras on the buses, diagnose which buses they then want to do their implementation trial on for 60 days or so, and then that will get us moving on to the legal side of everything.
Can you kind of explain what you meant by like little problems in the route?
So the first camera system is basically just kind of a camera that sits in the front window, and it will see the cars going by. Nothing in detail or anything at all. That then gives them the idea of which buses are going to be our most, ran on the stop arms. Once they pick out the 2 or 3 buses that are the highest, they then shove on the side mount because it costs them a pretty penny to put the whole high definition camera, motion sensor on, and everything else. They will then pick those 2 or 3 buses, put the entire system on the side. That system will give them an in-depth detail so they can take the picture of the license plate, capture there's actually a video signal that kicks on as soon as it starts passing. So you get like a 15-second snippet of this car running past your stop arm. And then it takes a picture of the front of the car, side of the car, and back of the car, which will zoom in, give them a license plate number, which then they do all the legwork on the back end to get their DMV information, find out who owns the car, send them the bill. But it's just such an expensive and time-consuming process for them. They like to go step by step on the process.
So is that like, when they're quite doing that, is that like a ticketable offense?
Yes.
So do they
To
get-
start with, during the trial period, they can't take it. Just because, and it's because of the whole city council ordinance side of being able to send that ticket. But a lot of times your city councils will not act on it until they have the proof of how is the system going to work, what are we going to get in the end result, and then that side of the issue.
So the DMV sends the ticket, or does it go to the Beech Police Department and
It
those
all
are
runs 100% through the Redflex system, the Guardian system. So they have a system, they review the images, they kick out false reads or anything like that. They will then send that file, and we're talking probably to Mark Parker. Send the file to him. Mark will go through and put yes ticket, no reject for some weird reason. Any yeses then goes to their printing system. They print, mail everything out. That person then has to mail the check back to them. And then the way the collections work, and which is part of the whole ordinance issue, is that it's strictly a fee-based collection. They will keep 100% until everything is collected and paid for on the camera system, which may take a year or 2. And then after that, it's like a 70-30 split. 70 they keep because their equipment's still on the bus, they're still maintaining it. The 30%, they say, for a lot of the districts, 15 goes to the city, 15 comes to the school. So that's kind of going to be, negotiated between the city and us once that time comes. But literally, everything's on there: collections, billing, mailing, everything.
So a ticketed person is not going to get anything that says City of Beech Grove on it. It's going to say Beech Grove City Schools and Redflex.
It will only say Guardian, and then it will look just like a normal ticket, and then it will tell them your mailback address, which will be the Guardian address, which leads back to the ordinance to allow that ticket to be enforceable.
And there is some discussion at the state legislative level about making this into state law to allow this to happen. And here was an article that was in the Johnson County paper that really talks about this in great detail and how important this is. And we can start out obviously down there by Central. Albany is a huge area where they're having problems with if you follow the local social media and what's been going on down there. And so we'll look at the high areas. 9th Street would be an area I would think we'd have a lot more that would even try to pass on 9th Street because of the width of that. But it is a problem. I think we're trying to address it. We thank Mike for kind of bringing it to our attention to the company.
Does this, I hate to keep asking questions, but does this ticket by some chance tell them how many points is going on their license, or
So that's-
that it will go on their record, or?
That's part of the whole ordinance issue that has to be decided of, is it gonna be points? It's a civil offense because it's just gonna be dollars. Right now, the way our court system's set up is it's actually, it has to go to the courts and go through the courts in Beech Grove. So that's something that has to be changed, which the police chief was a little worried about during the process. And that's also kind of where the time constraints come in on how long it takes to get everything changed, where it's strictly civil fine. So it may not even be points anymore.
Just if a police officer catches you doing that, that's a hefty little fine.
Yeah, so, well, they said the normal fine is $300+
Yeah.
for running the stop sign, and so their suggestion was $500. So, which then counterbalances the points, because you'll keep your points, but you're gonna lose a lot of money. So,
Well,
So
I'd
there's-
like to make a motion.
There's no cost for us up
no,
front?
it's completely zero, which is
Sorry.
why the first 2-3 years we get absolutely zero back, because they're recouping all their costs.
Gotcha.
What happens if we decide we don't like it any longer? For some bizarre reason,
They're gonna get everything back, so there's nothing, there's still no cost.
and we don't get,
There's no cost to us at all.
No, never.
okay. Would anybody else have any questions? Who would like to approve the Red Flex Student Guardian Power Program?
Make a motion to approve it.
Tim?
I'll second.
Tammy, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And we need to approve the new Indianapolis Power and Light contracts.
So the light contracts coincide with our Safe Routes to School grant. It's not the same grant, but with the sidewalk now coming up the Churchman side, we have that one dinky little light that lights nothing. So we call it Indianapolis Power and Light. They allow you, all the like street lights are at least normally. So you have your upfront cost of installation, and then it's a amount tacked onto your bill as you go. With the contracts that would sign, it would add a new light closer to the Churchman entrance. It would revamp the current pole that we have there. It will put a light on the hill here where the buses turn the corner, and then it will stick a light in the back of our parking lot back here again to light where we had the accident earlier this year. So all 4 of those together, including the revamps, basically about $10,000 a light, so it's about $40,000 total, and then it's like $300 added to our electric bill a month, which our electric bill is about $50,000 a month, so it's nothing.
That's about how much mine was this last month.
Well, and I would add that if you're out here in the morning, it is terrible of the kids that walk from the apartment complex right down. We probably have 40 to 50 kids, they could ride the bus and do their walk. And so, and I've had bus drivers tell me now for 5 years, we've got to do something. And obviously, when we had the teacher hit out in the back, that was kind of the straw that broke the camel's back. And, I'm just knock on wood that we haven't had a kid hit. So the sooner it comes in, the better.
Tammy had a question. This has nothing to do with this, and we will approve this in a second. But the 9 classes that we have for the high school,
Yes,
do they donate to utilities?
they pay.
Oh, they do?
Yeah.
What they end up doing is their fee goes to Renaissance. So they're one of the main fundings of Renaissance. So we just kind of let everything else go. It's kind of how it works out. Because they end up giving a big check to Randy Clevenger for Renaissance.
Plus, they provide the computers in the fishbowl. Those are Ivy Tech computers that we use all day long. So it's a great partnership. And obviously you're here on Monday through Thursday, our parking lots are packed with Beech Grove people all over. And so it's a moneymaker, and it's also great for our community.
Just a question. Who'd like to make a motion to approve the Power and Light contract? I will. Beth? Second.
Second.
Yes. Tim, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And we need to approve the updated contract with Central Security.
Yep, nothing changed from last time. Bob Run got all of his language he wanted, so it's better for us. Gives us a longer warranty, and Bob's happy, so.
Anybody have any questions about that? Okay, let's make a motion to approve it then, please.
I'll make a motion.
Nancy, okay. Who'd like to second, please?
I'll second.
Tammy, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We have donations. We have $72.56 from Coke. We have free classroom supplies. We have free products from Coke. We have another $75 from Coke. And we need a motion to approve those donations.
I'll motion to approve the donations.
Sammy?
Second.
Tim, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? We need to adjust the graduation credit requirement.
Kelly, you want to come up, and I'll kind of lead off on this. And I put at your table the current requirement, and Steve, you help me out, it's still 40 graduation from the state of Indiana. I know there's some discussion about going to 42 here in the near future. I'm not sure if that's been passed by the Department of Ed or not, but you know, when we started the Enrichment Academy, you know, at our high school it takes 55 credits to graduate, and that's based on the fact that our kids could earn 64 credits over the year. And last year, Kelly, we had how many students graduate from the Enrichment Academy ballpark?
23.
Yeah. And what we're finding is we have a lot of kids this year that they're in line to get all their required credits to go. The only thing they have left are electives. And it's going to cause some to go into next year and possibly not graduate. So Kelly and I were brainstorming, and I'm recommending that we go down to 42 credits, which is still above the state average for the Enrichment Academy. And then maybe Kelly, if you want to talk more about the handout that you provided for us, and maybe go and leave them a little bit more detail.
In your packet, I put together a proposal for the HEA graduation, proposed graduation requirements. If you've had an opportunity to look at that, you can see that our proposal would be that our students could graduate with a minimum of 42 credits for a general diploma, and the core 40 with 48, which that would not change the core 40. It would only change the general from 46 to 42. The requirements are the same. What changes is the amount of electives that our students would need to complete. Most of our students come to us behind, maybe they're struggling academically, attendance. So we try to eliminate as many barriers as we can to get them to graduation. Sometimes those electives become a barrier to them in some way. At 42 and 46, the requirements are the same. It doesn't change the requirements at all. The extra 4 credits are strictly electives. For our students, for most of our students, that adds an additional semester to their time before they could graduate. For example, Shelley worked on a list. We have 33 seniors this year who this is their 7th and 8th semester, so they're classified as seniors. She highlighted some students that she thought were a good example of students that would benefit from this. Out of those 33, all but 7 can graduate with 46 credits. They were sort of already there. A couple of examples. We have one student who is currently at 37 credits. She only has 3 requirements left, which will put her at 40 credits. The remaining 2 at 42 would be electives. If she could graduate with 42 credits, there is a really good chance she could graduate come May. But if I have to add an additional 4 electives, it will be next December before she can finish. As time goes on, the chances of me sustaining her for those 4 additional electives becomes difficult. If I can get her to graduation in May, then that's a success. So that's where we see this difference. Next December is a long way off, and a lot can happen to the student in 8-9 months. We can lose transportation, she can move, she can change a job, all kinds of scenarios. Another example, we have a student that is now with us for 2 years. She has struggled academically. She makes minimal progress. We have worked and worked. She is finishing up her 2nd year with us. She's at 38 credits. She has 4 more requirements. She would be done. If I have to hold her for yet another semester for 4 more electives, again, as time goes on, jobs change, she moves, we could potentially have a student that doesn't graduate for 4 additional electives. Those are some examples. I have 5-6 students this year that would benefit from that credit difference by not having to complete those additional 4 electives and could potentially graduate come May. If not, I have to pull them over. If they attend summer, we might get 1 credit, maybe 2, but essentially we're looking at December. So we take 33 and we lose 7 or 8 of those, that makes a significant difference to these kids. Because if they lose transportation, if they lose childcare, they have to move. Those are all barriers that keep them from graduation. And those 4 credits make a difference to them. Questions?
So have we lost very many students because of those barriers?
Yes. We have students who move. As our students get older, when they reach 18, 19, they move away from home. When they move away from home, they might lose their support system. They may lose transportation. We have one student that recently married. She moved all the way to Lebanon. She has 2 credits left. If she would have graduated at 42, she would be done. But we are trying to pull her back and try to eliminate as many barriers as we can. She has 2 credits, less than 2 credits. She's halfway through 1 course. So it makes a difference in the success of what we can do with our students for 4 electives. So.
And I'll add to this, one of the other things that I've talked to both Steve and to Kelly about is the number of people out there. In fact, we have a mom wanting to come back to get her diploma. And, we've got a lot of people that are out there because, we have required 55 credits to graduate. And we're going to assume we have a lot of parents and adults right now. If we could get them back in, use this 42 credits, we can use Workster. We can get a lot of our Beech Grove people to graduate that didn't have that chance. And I appreciate the high expectations of the 55. I mean, that's a good target. But quite frankly, we have some kids that just, they blow away their freshman year, sophomore year, as Kelly said, they just have life gets in the way. And we just pulled 46 out of the air. I mean, there was nothing magical. It was kind of a compromise between 55 and 46. I wanted 44 because it was my favorite number. But I saw New Albany went back, and I don't know if it was 40 or 42, and they changed for everybody. And I thought, well, this is kind of our clearinghouse to keep the high expectations, but at the same time give those kids. I mean, we've got some really good kids who just kind of fell behind here at the last minute, so we moved out of the last semester. It's not only for the kids we have right here, but we think there's a whole cadre of adults that we can bring back on our Tuesday, Thursday evening program to get that Beech Grove diploma starting next fall. So that is kind of a multi. It's the kids we have right now, and it's an adult population we think we can service. And I was at a funeral today. My mother graduated from Tech High School by 11 weeks. She got married to my dad, went out to California. She was an honor roll student. My mother never got a diploma. Those places weren't available back in those early golden days. And I think we probably have a lot of the same thing. And so next fall, we're going to start an advertisement campaign and really go out there and try to recruit some of the former Beech Grove folks and get them back in if they're close on the diploma. So it's kind of a multitude for kids now and some adults that like to put that diploma up and share with their kids and their grandkids.
So I'm assuming that obviously there are levels of graduation.
Yes.
So does that also get shown on your diploma?
No, it doesn't.
It's 1 diploma.
It's 1 diploma. That's pretty standard.
I have a question. Is that going to be your new norm or goal for the 46? Is that going to be your goal at the AGA? And what happens with a junior that has 46 credits? That's it.
If say we had a high school student come over, essentially what would happen is they would have to finish their requirements with us. So if they came over and still needed 4 English courses and 2 math courses, and they were already at 42, they would still have to finish those courses. So the requirements are the same, so they would meet all of the requirements and then the additional electives to come up to 42. So we've had students come to us at 50 credits. They still have to finish all of their requirements.
Right.
So it wouldn't change that.
But you're just foregoing their electives.
Yes, it would be. It helps the students who come to us as sophomores, juniors, or by sophomores and juniors, I mean by credit status. Say we have a student who's 18 and they have 20 credits or 25. Those are the students that it helps. If we can get a student through in 2 years, we can sustain them that long generally. But if we have a student that comes to us at 17 and they're looking at 3 years, they are overwhelmed with 3 years, and I finish when I'm 20. But if we can say you can finish when you're 19 in 4 semesters, they just perceive that differently. And it's the 4 electives. Our electives are somewhat limited. This is another challenge. We have some electives on Plato that we can offer. We just added 5 additional, plus school to career. But some of our students can't work, whether it's childcare or transportation. So if we can't access those 6 credits through school to career, then I may be at a point where I have 5 electives I can offer them. So 42 would help us as well in that sense. So the requirements would be the same, and then the addition would be in electives. So in the core 40, of course, they would have additional requirements, which helps them pick up those additional credits to 48.
So again, this is for the general diploma. We still have kids that have graduated with the core 40. We have kids out there right now. So, and again, so you know, you have to have a core 40 if you're going to go to a 4-year college. If you want to go to Ivy Tech, you can graduate with just a regular diploma and move on from that standpoint. So, you know, as I was sitting here and I met with Kelly and I met with Dave and Anson, I talked about this, and you know, so we've got kids, all they need is 4 electives to graduate. Why are they here? You know, they met the state requirement. Let's move them on to the next phase of their life. And as I said, we also think there's an adult population we can bring back in and help them get the diploma too. So, you know, I don't want to think it's really lowering standards as much as really creating a bar that's very reasonable for our kids to get to. And, you know, and I will tell you, most schools in the state of Indiana are at, you know, 40 to 42 for the basic diploma. So we're really coming down to where most schools, especially most schools in Marion County, are. So.
Anybody have any questions? Anyone like to make a motion to adjust the graduation credit requirement? Tim, all in favor? Aye. Opposed? Okay, then we need, we have some field trips. I'm volunteering to go to Paris. We need a motion to approve the field trip to Paris.
I motion that we approve it.
Tammy? Okay. Tim, would you second?
Yeah.
All in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then we have Spanish classes going to Costa Rica. What the heck? Who'd like to make a motion for that one?
I'll make the motion.
See? Second. Tim, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? And then agriculture is going to an overnight field trip to the state convention, June 16th through the 19th. That sounds fun.
Make a motion to approve that.
Tim?
I'll second.
Tammy? There's only 4 of you, so you have to just keep
We just have
going.
to take our turns.
We have,
And I have one more, if we don't mind. Last night, late, I emailed you a proposal from Leanne. Leanne, you want to pop up here? And Leanne has done a wonderful job at our middle school with a very deep investigation of the Holocaust. And so why don't you just kind of tell what you've done with our intersessions in the past and what the next phase of the education of our kids are in this area.
Okay, well, it's something I've been interested in for a long time. I got interested in college, and I had the opportunity a couple years ago to go to Poland with the Holocaust survivor at the Candles Holocaust Museum in Terre Haute, which just really opened my eyes in a whole other way. And actually, it was a high school student at Mara Kenworthy told me about the trip and the opportunity. And so I went and I came back, and it just seemed to be something that our kids are really interested in. They want to learn about it. They have so many questions, ethical questions, moral questions, historical questions, and they want to understand why something like that happened. And when I mentioned that it still happens, it blows their mind. They can't conceive that we could possibly treat people in the world that way. And it seems like it's, I don't know, creates a global world awareness for them. And so I just had this idea. Part of the reason I got to go to Poland was because I got a teacher scholarship to go. That was when I could afford it. And I wanted to kind of give back to the museum, so I offered my first fall intercession a couple years ago when I got back, and I thought we would read the book about Eva, and we would go and visit her, and I had a lot of kids sign up. I had, I think, over 30 kids sign up for it. It really blew me away. And so the 7th graders had heard about it, and this year they wanted to do it again, so I offered it again, and I had 42 students sign up, and I had to close it because my room's not big enough for that many students, and I don't need to be responsible for that many. But they loved it, and they loved meeting her, and they loved going to the museum and hearing more about her. And when our unit was over last year, they wanted to see some of the more documentaries and things like that I had, and so it kind of developed into a film club as well. I said, we can't sit around and watch movies during class. We can't do that. We can read books, we can discuss, we can watch a little section of a film and discuss, but we can't sit around and do that. Well, we'll stay after school and watch them. Really? No, you won't. They did. And then this year, I had to cap my film club because I had, I think at one point, almost 50 kids stay after one day to watch a Holocaust film and discuss it with me. And so I had to have them fill out an application and kind of pick the kids who seemed really interested, who, I don't know, have that need to do something academic. Maybe they struggle academically on paper, but this is a place where they can get engaged. Maybe they're not involved in athletics or music programs. But it's really neat to me because I have all these different kinds of kids. I have a lot right now who can't participate because they're in wrestling or basketball or swimming. But all different kinds of kids. My advanced kids and then my kids who struggle to do their work in class show up. And they watch and they listen and they ask questions and they're respectful, and it blows me away. So they asked me if I was going to do a spring intercession, and I said, well, I hadn't planned on it. I was going to travel. And I said, well, if you really want to do one, and they said they did, so I've been kind of trying to do some research and finding a different book and a different topic of something that they've been interested in that they would want to study. And that's what I came up with.
And there's a Silver Museum in Illinois.
Mm-hmm. And I haven't been, but the man who's the executive director of Candles in Terre Haute and the museum in Illinois are very close. And he has been, and he said it's an incredible museum. He said it's actually his favorite Holocaust museum because the one in Washington, D.C., he said is overwhelming. He's like, I enjoy it because there's a lot of good information there. There's great artifacts there. But he said for a young person or for a first-time visitor, it is overwhelming. And when we go this summer on the Washington, D.C. trip, I'm one of the sponsors for that, we take the kids to that museum. And even though we do a pretty in-depth language arts unit, and we read Anne Frank, and we read a couple books about it, and we discuss it, and kids go to film club, they're still shocked at what they see when we go to the Holocaust Museum. So I think this might be a really great introduction for those students, especially who are going this summer with us to DC, to go to this museum and see it and hear another survivor speak and tell their story, because it's not going to be really long before they're not around to tell those stories anymore. And the kids really connect with it in a way that I didn't expect. I think it's something that I'm passionate about and I'm interested in and I love it, but they're passionate about it too, and I love that. That drives me.
In conjunction with this, do we also want to approve the movie? You want to do that, right? To watch Schindler's List?
I do. And the kids have been asking for years.
And we need to see if more will approve that, which I'm sure will. My other question is, are you going to have them also read the book?
The Schindler's List book? No. I have a book, actually a friend got it for me for Christmas, and it's called, put it in the thing, can't remember. I Will Plant You a Lilac Tree, I think. And it's a teen nonfiction book. So it's written for young adults, but it's nonfiction. And it's written about someone who was a Schindler's List survivor. I mean, he's the reason that she survived. And I read this last weekend. It was incredible. And so I completely changed my class over the weekend because I thought the kids will love this book. They've been asking about this movie, and I don't want them to watch it by themselves.
Sure.
Because I realize it's rated R and it's a more mature movie, but it's not something they need to go home and watch over the weekend with their friends because they've heard about it and they want to watch it. I think they need to watch it in a controlled atmosphere where they can ask questions. And so I thought, well, if I teach this book and we go to the museum, then we can talk about Schindler, because when I went to Poland, I went to his factory, I went to the campsite where they had the Plazov camp, which is the camp in Schindler's List. I went to the Woliska salt mine, and this lady who wrote this memoir, she worked in the Villisca salt mine as a slave to the Nazis and built airplane parts and hauled salt up out of the mine. And I was in there and I saw the Stars of David over the archways, like in the mine. And I had never read about someone who lived that. So I have a lot of information, personal, that I can share from my trip, plus the book, plus this film they wanted to watch. So over the weekend, it just kind of came together, and I thought they would love this.
Do you want to do two separate groups?
I think we do it once if that's comfortable with you. You made the call.
Okay, we'd like to make a motion to approve her field trip to Illinois. And then also to get permission slips to parents for approval to watch Schindler's List in conjunction with that trip in the class. How's that sound?
I'll make a motion to approve that.
Tim, and who would second, please?
I'll second it.
Tammy, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed?
Thank you.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you so much. The kids are going to be so excited. They're waiting for my tweet.
It's really neat to see your passion and how you came and explained it to the board and Taz, and you're doing some really neat things for kids, so we really appreciate it.
It's amazing that middle school kids are so involved in something that deep. And Leah has helped them to do that. It's really
I
neat.
think it makes them appreciate the things that they have. Hopefully it will. How lucky we are. We need a motion to approve the proposed amendments to the 2014-2015 school calendar. Anybody have any questions before we approve it? Okay.
I'll make a motion to approve it.
Tim?
Second.
Beth, all in favor? Opposed? You're opposed?
What's that?
Sorry, raise your hand.
Nope, I'm good.
Okay. And then we have fundraiser requests as presented. Do I need to go over those? Do you guys want me to go over them? We read them. We're good? Okay.
I'll second.
Tammy, all in favor?
Aye.
Opposed? Do you want to talk about the policy guideline consideration?
Yes, very quickly, the change in the Indiana code related to transfer students in a nutshell, and Robin has worked very diligently on this. Basically, if we have a current student from outside the district and a sibling wants to attend, then it is our duty under the code to take that student, as long as they have not been suspended or expelled from their other school. I mean, that's basic change, Robin, right?
That, and that we can't say no to an employee's child if they have a new student coming in, even if there is not capacity available in the grade.
And not that we would, but this kind of makes it legal and helps us, when someone else says, well, you let that person in, and you didn't let my kid, you let an employee's child in, you didn't let mine in. So, pretty simple adjustments.
But we don't have to approve that, right? That's just for information.
We'll
purposes,
we'll give it
correct?
to you tonight at this point in time.
Okay. Anything else for the good of the cause before we adjourn the meeting? Okay, we need a motion to adjourn.
Make a motion.
Tim? Tammy, all in favor? Opposed? Okay, meeting adjourned. Good night,